My reading this morning is a Rumi poem. When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of stress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without pain. I'm going to read that again. When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of stress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without pain. Good morning. I ran across an old article I had written for the Unitarian Universalist Church when I was on the board president there. Um, it was titled Another Lively Year is Planned at UUSO. It was written in September of 2006, 14 years ago already. And in it, I was promoting all the exciting plans we could participate in for the new church year. Ha! I thought, what lively plans are we highlighting here at the Institute? Well, we had a really great Ready, Set, Go planned for you, which is the title of my sermon. And we were actually ready to launch a complete healing certification program. You've probably heard little bits about it, with 9 different courses with amazing teachers to teach us all the ins and outs of energy healing, techniques of all kinds. Well, as you can guess, after a long period of waffling and lengthy discussion, the Adult Education Committee decided to postpone the whole program to next fall. Too much hands-on and close contact is required to teach many of those classes. And we would have been revealing highlights of this beautiful program developed in tandem with our healing program director, Joanne Warmoth, for you today. There goes plans crumbling. I don't know if you know this about me, but once I set a course, I am not someone who gives up easily. Just ask my sister. And because I'm an actress, I was taught that the show must go on. Doesn't matter if there's 2 feet of snow. You've got to get yourself to the theater on opening night in costumes, lines memorized as planned, as planned, as planned. Canceling is failure. So our 2 feet of snow was a worldwide pandemic with loads of uncertainty about how to proceed, about everything. By mid-August, those of us on the Adult Education Committee realized we needed to start pivoting. We needed to find a program that would work given the current climate. So, what do we have to take its place, you ask? Sorry, you have to listen to the end to find out. I'll come back to that. Of course, we've all had the rug pulled out from us under us multiple times since the start of this pandemic, planning and plotting, only to pull the plug on carefully laid plans, vacations, weddings, live entertainment, to say nothing of the life-shattering events that many of us have had to face since COVID-19 first appeared with us last March. Any one of us could tell a story about our life plans crumbling. And just as we started to get back on our feet and we could see the light at the end of the tunnel, we got a huge sucker punch. Suddenly, over 500 new cases of COVID, I think it was 589 last I looked, in Oneonta as the colleges started back in session. There's a meme going around you may have seen. It goes like this: Dear 2020, this crap wasn't on my vision board. And it's funny, but true, isn't it? If we have the ability to manifest what we desire, how come the universe delivered things that weren't on my shopping list? Or on anyone else's list, for that matter? And I know we've all heard the expression, Life is what happens when we are busy making other plans. And the Yiddish expression, we plan, God laughs. And the conflict between these two ideologies can be really confusing. I make plans and bring my vision to life, or God has a plan for me. Are they really contradictory, or are they both true? I make plans, God makes adjustments. I just know that I don't have the answer, but I do know where you can go to find answers or find them for yourselves, and especially questions about bringing your own vision to life. Elka's fourth Tuesday class called Allowing Abundance, and that is where you can go on the fourth Tuesday to really engage in bringing your own vision for your life to reality. And when we are right up against it, our plans crumbling around us, facing an uncertain future, what do? How do we find balance in the midst of a crisis? Where do we turn? My sister, Reverend Sue, calls this crazy time a crash. And after a crash, and I'm going to quote her for a moment here. After a crash, we put our experience, knowledge, and training into effect. The sirens have gone off. All hands on deck. This is my time. It's the time in the world where we get to put everything we've ever learned into practice. We're dealing with stuff we've never had to deal with before. But am I going to dwell in the crash? No. I'm going to dwell in bringing light to whatever spirit and the divine has in store for us. That is my job. That is your job. You chose to be here. You chose a spiritual path. End quote. How do I bring light? What is it that we already know to do? We're going to review the list, and I say review because in stressful times like this, you know how you always just everything goes out of your head. You just forget. You forget all the techniques and the how-tos. When we're in that midst of overwhelm, there is a swirling emotion around us, accusations, pointing fingers, and we get caught up in it. The anger, the grief, the outrage, and the news, the misinformation, and begin to feel powerless and lose our faith. And to add even more confusion to the mix, there are strange, dark channelings going around and believed to be divinely inspired. Conspiracy theories. But you know whether it comes from the light or it does not. Use your inner compass to tell whether there is truth in what you're hearing. Back to the techniques. Number 1, breathe. Breathe out the emotional state, be it anger, fear, panic. By simply focusing on breathing, you get to that place of stillness. And when you're calm, your perceptions are more clear. And the logical next steps to a solution can appear. Number 2, rise above the storm. Lift out of that swirling emotions. Lift up out of reaction mode. Paul Selig, a medium, channel, and author who I follow, teaches us to go to the upper room, that place of being where we merge with our divine or our true selves, where we are up out of ego and everyday thinking and into the room where we can see from a higher perspective to get that big picture. Well, that's nice, but how do you get there? You could read Paul Selig's books, or probably a lot of you already know from your own training and background, and I do recommend them highly. But the shortcut is to raise your own vibration in whatever way you know how. You can be going through terrible times, but you don't need to suffer. The Buddha says there's a difference between discomfort and suffering. Suffering is discomfort multiplied by resistance, is what the Buddha says. Suffering is discomfort multiplied by resistance. We can manage our emotional state. It's even in one of our ISD principles we just read earlier. You remember the one. We believe we choose our happiness or unhappiness. And how do you do that? I'm going to remind you of a few ways. Number one is a rampage of appreciation. You get extra points if you know who that comes from. Elka's studying with her. Her class is with Esther Hicks and Abraham. The rampage of appreciation, where you're in a horrible, stinking, terrible mood, really angry, and you just decide to get to a higher vibration, you need to appreciate anything that's around you. I'm so happy that I still have coffee in my cup. And I'm so happy that I have this mug with my husband and I on it to remind me of all my favorite people in the entire world. Oh, and there we are in Paris. I'm so happy that I have a couple of affirmations up on my bulletin board that will remind me when I lose faith in myself. Rampage of appreciation, what's right here around you. I'm so happy that I have good internet service and can see you all. And you keep doing that. If you're in with somebody else, you take turns back and forth. My husband and I do it back and forth to each other. I say one thing and he has to say something else. Have an emergency playlist of music that makes you happy. All you got to do is click play, when you can't get out of bed, when it's really awful, when you feel really defeated. Number 3, get away from the news. If you're in a bad place, it contributes to a downward spiral. So just turn it off for a bit. Number 4, get into nature. Plants transmute lower energies, and they can help get rid of the energetic toxins that are residing in there. All of that we were just doing with Renee's beautiful meditation. Another way, meditation, getting rid of energetic toxins. Also, plants convert carbon dioxide into fresh oxygen. So, and did I mention meditate? Meditate, meditate. Can't do it? Don't know how? Fundamentals of Meditation I'm teaching on September 15th and 29th. Begin to open up a whole new world for yourself. Number 6, a network of support. Call a friend, call a counselor, call your minister. We have about 5 right now at ISD. Any one of them would welcome a call. Some use Facebook to connect with people, just to reconnect with friends or to get a suggestion or advice. Number 7, saying affirmations. Notice that your mind is always filled with repeating loops of negativity all the time. And kind of put ourselves down, self-defeating statements. This will never work. This is such a stupid sermon. Okay, all that happens even as you're writing a sermon, the negative loops going around. Why not replace them with ones loops that actually empower you instead? Now is the appointed time. Today is the day of my amazing good fortune. I like to put a couple just around me, kind of rescue affirmations all around me. So I've got them right there in case I get really, really out of sorts. And the last thing I'm just going to mention, besides a sense of humor, which I didn't think of until this morning, jokes, things that make you laugh. My husband suggests this too shall pass, reminding yourself that this chapter of your life is only temporary. And history shows us that pandemics do pass, and something better always rises out of the ashes for society and for our personal lives as well. It always something better out of something bad. And once you've raised your emotional state or your vibration sufficiently to feel more connected to your higher self, you're in a better place to make needed changes for a better future, to be resilient, be adaptable. In acting classes, we do improvisation. A scene is set up where the actors in the scene don't know what's going to happen until somebody delivers a line or they do something. And there's no memorized lines. You can't plan a response. It doesn't work. It actually ruins the scene. It depends on what is said to you, what your next action is going to be. But life is like that, isn't it? We're constantly being thrown circumstances, and we need to quickly adapt and change course. As a result, the story of our lives changes. Okay, you guys, before I get to my conclusion, if you recall, I told you way back in the beginning that I was going to give you a little hint about what was coming up to replace the healing program. One of many things we've had to replace, pivot, change. Metaphysically Speaking is the title of the new series from the Adult Education Committee, happening every Thursday night on Zoom, starting September 17th. And that's where, as Renee was mentioning earlier, our teachers are examining and sharing topics from telepathy to the Day of the Dead. And that's not all. Even before that, on next Sunday, September 13th, you can discover your past lives in a 3-part series with Story Lucille Ducey. She's even talking about reincarnation. And along with all of our usual intuitive development circles that Renee announced earlier, which are listed on our calendar at isdonianta.org. So back to conclusion. We can say that we are better adapters if we have put a few simple practices into place and make changes from a more intuitively connected place. But why couldn't the changes to our life story be better than we ever expected or planned? Maybe it doesn't matter that our plans shattered or crumbled. For as we notice what is showing up in our lives right now and ask, how do I play off of that? What's going to be my response? How about if I find light in these crazy times and be a beacon for that light? So the challenge for us is staying connected to that light at all times, and no matter what, be part of the solution rather than going down with the crash, and staying in that experience of emotional turmoil and confusion that happens just before the ambulance is called. Will you be part of the crew that comes with the ambulance? Can you promise to prioritize finding divine light and being a beacon for that light? Thank you.